A tongue fetish can't be a real thing, can it? It is a real thing. Welcome everyone to a new video series on my channel. Now the plan for this series is going to be I don't always go out there as far as in my anime and manga kind of career. That doesn't really make sense. Anyway, as far as all my collecting goes, I usually try to wait until Americanized releases happen, and I know a lot of people don't do that. But I like to do it that way because sometimes I find if I read something online or if I watch it online before it comes out here, I'm less apt to show my support to companies and buy them so we can actually keep the manga and the anime industry kind of alive at all in the US. So I'm going to be starting a new series, and I'm going to call it, so far, tentatively kind of Manga First Impressions. Now, so my plan is to take new manga series that come out from the manga companies, and kind of when I buy them, and I'm just going to kind of just review like the first book with you guys, tell you what I thought of it, what I liked, maybe what I didn't like about it, and we'll just kind of take a peek at it just so you can see beforehand, you know, if you see it in the store and decide, hey, maybe I want that, but I'm not quite so sure. Well, if you see that, and maybe this will encourage you to help you along in your decision on that. So anyway, without further ado, let's get started here on our very first manga we're going to be reviewing. Now I have here in my hand, and hopefully somewhere maybe up here as well, I'm going to be putting up some just pictures so you guys can see better. We have Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary. Now this very just recently came out, I want to say a week or two ago, from Seven Seas Entertainment. And I saw that it was supposed to be coming out soon, and I love their other monster girl type series. I'm sure you've probably heard, if you were a manga buyer or collector, you've probably heard of Monster Museum, which is a great series. And so, kind of along those lines, we kind of have a new monster series for those of you who may have loved that one to continue with this one here. Now, Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary. Did I just say that right? Yes, I did. I know my stuff. Yes, I do. Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary it takes a departure from, a little bit, from the kind of Monster Museum type approach. If you know much about Monster Museum, it's a great series and it's hilarious, but it's more of the fan service type genre of book harem series, but with, as you probably could guess it, monster girls. Now Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary, it takes a high school setting and puts and basically adds, you know, I guess you would, you know, call it your monsters, and sometimes not even like quite like as far as you'd say as monsters, just people that are different from each other, which, I mean, you can obviously you'd have anywhere, but this takes real life kind of applicants and differences people may have and kind of puts them in manga form with, you know, people that are different from each other, but it adds a very heavy layer of humor. And so half the time you're forgetting that there's actually a moment that's serious, because you have your serious moments, but there's usually something so hilarious going on that you usually kind of forget that. So, because obviously, to highlight here in the first book here, I mean, it kind of like even gives you a rundown on the back of the kind of characters you're going to be seeing in your first session, kind of with Nurse Hitomi and her infirmary, because that's one cool thing the series kind of does. You kind of go patient by patient, and you have recurring characters already as the series goes on, but you have the girl, your first character you meet, whose tongue is rapidly growing, and it's all these problems seem to be onset by puberty, which apparently for a monster, either male or female, is probably a lot more difficult to deal with than what we normal humans had to deal with, because they have great changes as far as growth, shrinking, zombie parts falling off. And so they range from like monsters to almost not even seeming like monsters. Like one girl is just plain invisible, or is becoming invisible. So that's another thing you can kind of expect from it. So the art style in Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary, I wasn't sure at first. It was one of those things that's a big factor with what catches. With manga, it's such a big factor. It's what's that first you don't know anything about a series, and that first thing you're going to see is basically what the art style look like, and that can be what draws you in. And I was drawn into the art style of, Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary. And so I was interested in seeing it, and I wanted to read it, and I've really enjoyed most of the publications by Seven Seas very recently. And so it's different slightly from some of my more favorite styles, but as I got into it, I found myself really enjoying the art style. It uses lots of dark colors, as far as lots of dark, coloring all the way in, which some manga doesn't use. They use more of dark shading. So there are lots of parts where, everything's completely black, and it's not a super... The manga can be super detailed in the moments where it wants to, but the rest of it's more of a just kind of plain, simpler type of art style. But then when you really get into the moments of close-ups on faces, or where something really weird is happening, i.e. getting, yourself wrapped around someone else's tongue, per se, the art style really shows its true colors. So in closing, Nurse Hitomi's Monster Infirmary is a very enjoyable series to read, in my opinion. I found myself, really easily getting through that first volume and hoping for more. It's just a story that's refreshing in a way. It's got the humor and the light-heartedness sense to it, but it's got that element about problems that we all face and how different people overcome kind of things that are bothering them and things that are happening to them and to the people around them, that kind of gives you that warm, light-hearted sense where, that kind of fuzzy feeling inside. But it's got, at the same time, it adds a little bit of that, a little bit of that fan service, that humor, and that thing that really kind of ties the whole series together and made it really enjoyable for me to read. And so I guess that's the end of this video here. In closing, I really would recommend buying this manga. I thought it was a very good read, and I look forward to more of them to come. And one thing I want to do with these videos is take the chance to recommend series, if you like this series that are similar to them or that you might enjoy as well. So the first one is pretty obvious. I have here just Monster Museum, which I mentioned earlier in the video. Great series. I really recommend picking this up. You will not be disappointed. I really enjoy them. And then also, this is from Seven Seas Entertainment as well, for those of you who don't know. And then I grabbed a different company here, but I thought, this would kind of fit the vibe we were going with here, and this is Rosario Vampire. Now, Rosario Vampire is published by Viz Media, and is currently rather close to finishing, I believe. But if you haven't picked this up or read it, the similarities are, it also has, a lot of monsters that's set in a high school. It's a bit more of a shonen, where there is, fights and battles and stuff like that, but it also has that fan service element, especially at the beginning of the series, that, all kind of blends in and makes them slightly similar. So anyway, guys, thanks a whole bunch for joining me on this. I hope this video didn't run too long. I want to keep them short-ish, kind of easy videos to watch, hopefully around 5 minutes, so I'll try to cut it up as best I can, so I don't ramble on too much. But thank you so much for joining me for this video, and please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed it. And if you have another series that recently came out, or even maybe didn't recently came out, that you have a question about, you can ask me if I own it, and if I don't own it, I can probably go pick it up fairly easily if you'd like to know more about it, and I can do a little short video on it and tell you what I think of it. So, thanks a lot, guys, for watching. I have been Fatal Ferret, and I will see you back on the prowl next time with another video. Bye-bye!